Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree, and real quick, before I get into why I hate the Fraggle Rock and the Muppets, let me start off by pointing out a couple of updates to the channel. I got this new lamp right here. It's not necessarily a new lamp. What it is I have an overhead lamp above me and this desk lamp to the side of me. And when I started filming in this location, I was using the desk lamp, and I switched to using the overhead lamp, and now I'm just using both lamps. So I got the overhead lamp shooting straight down and the desk lamp lighting up the side of my face, which lets you see my complexion a little better. And you can see I think you can see the green in my hair a little bit better. Um, Also, the microphone is new, so I want to point that out, and the headphones, so I can hear what you hear as I'm saying it. So this should alleviate some of the audio quality issues people have complained about in the past, and that I've noticed when I rewatch some of my videos. I have to crank the audio up high, so I shouldn't have to anymore. This should do a much better job. I'm working on upgrading the camera, and maybe getting a full set, possibly, but that's down the road. So, all right, that's a minute and a half of your time talking about bullshit that could have been an update video. Let's talk about why I hate the Fraggle Rock and the goddamn Muppets. And I'm going to be honest, there's not a lot to say, which is why I wanted to get the update stuff out of the way in this video. Because otherwise, this would have just been a short. No, this is not, in case you're wondering or you're like, like rolling your eyes, this is not a situation where like I'm terrified of Muppets, because I've already previously mentioned how much I hate scary dolls. Scary dolls are like ceramic dolls. I hate them. I will not be in the same space as a ceramic doll. I will never touch one ever. Um, I also am terrified of ventriloquist dummies. And I'm not a big fan of Cabbage Patch dolls because they're pretty creepy looking too. No, my aversion to Fraggle Rock and the Muppets. My aversion with. Okay, why I hate Fraggle Rock is because they're goddamn Muppets. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Yes, I went there. I am not a fan of Muppet Yoda. I. Fuck you. Whatever. I don't care. Well, maybe not fuck you, the viewer, but I mean like the fandom. The fandom. Fuck you. Um, I prefer CGI Yoda. So I'm not when I say fuck you into the camera, I'm not talking to you, the people watching this video. I'm talking about the fandom or the toxic fandom. But I should have probably made that more clear in my videos. Um, Now, there have been times where I addressed you, the viewer, in videos directly. That might not have been a good idea. Anyways, so why don't I like Muppets? Well, actually, it goes all the way back to my childhood. My childhood. I don't like cartoons. I do not like anime, which is it's just a fancy word for cartoon. It's the word people who are ashamed of the word cartoons use to refer to. Well, actually, let me take that back. It does specifically refer to Japanese animation or Asian animation, as it's sometimes extrapolated onto other, like South Korean and stuff. But I know it specifically refers to Japanimation or Japanese animation. I understand that. But just like the word animation is the word that I would say hipsters and toxic fans and snobs use in place of the word cartoon, because they're allergic to the word cartoon because they erroneously associate the word cartoon with kid stuff. So they think if you call an quote animated program a cartoon, it belittles them. It makes them feel bad about themselves because they don't want to be seen as like, oh no, no, no. I don't watch cartoons. I watch animation. Yeah, to those people, I'll say fuck you. Because they're all cartoons. Anime is a cartoon. CGI Shrek is a cartoon. Dragon Ball Z is a cartoon. They're just fucking cartoons. I hate it when people have to be all pedantic about words. They're literally just cartoons. That is my beef with Muppets. They're just felt cartoon characters. But it's the same goddamn thing. And I just don't care. I'm not fascinated by Muppets or puppets or dancing dolls or whatever, fancy dolls, talking dolls, none of that shit. I'm not into it. It doesn't appeal to me. So, yes, when I was a kid, I did watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and I did watch Sesame Street because I had sisters and it was on and it was something the babysitter or the grown-ups in the house made me watch. So, yes, I have can't get off my he's on my court. Anyways, yes. I have watched my share of Muppet stuff. And I won't talk about it on my horror movie channel, but I can talk about it here on this channel. I do enjoy Jim Henson's Labyrinth. So, you're raising your pinky and going, that's a contradiction. Okay, technically you're right. However, mostly what I enjoy about Labyrinth is the rock star David Bowie and his presence and performance in the film, and the mazes and the set pieces and the fantasy elements. And it's not all Muppets. I know it's mostly Muppets. And there's a handful of shots that are done with traditional cell animation because this was pre-CGI. Which those don't look good. They look out of place for the film, so I'll give you that. He probably should have done some more Muppet work, supposedly. I guess, I don't know. But anyways, but I also like Labyrinth because I like David Bowie a little bit, kind of, sort of, but not too much. So, but I also like Jennifer Connelly. But I love fantasy stuff. Now, most Muppet media is not fantasy. Fraggle Rock is basically the Smurfs or the Littles. It's not fantasy at all. They live underground. They don't. I mean, I know it's portrayed as like their own world or whatever, but I liken it to the Smurf village or the holes in the wall where the Littles live. Like, it's our world. We just can't see it because it's hidden. Likewise, Sesame Street is educational and it's grounded mostly in reality. I know you got a talking bird and a talking monster that lives in a trash can and, you know, a bunch of other Muppets. But it's set somewhere in the real world. Most likely Manhattan. But I don't think it's specified, but it is Manhattan. You can tell by the architecture of the buildings. But anyways, Yoda is a Muppet, but Star Wars is sci-fi. Well, some would argue, I don't raise the pinky, say it's sci-fi fantasy. Fuck off. It's science fiction. You can, if you want to be pedantic, call it soft sci-fi, but even that pisses me off because people are trying to make a connotation that one type of sci-fi is more acceptable than another or more legit than another, and that just irritates me. Just like, fuck off with that shit. Those are usually Star Trek nerds that talk like that, in my experience. Not that there's anything wrong with being a Star Trek nerd. I have a lot of friends who are. It's just obviously I have a low opinion of the media. I'm not a fan of Star Trek, and I've said this a bajillion times on my channel. I don't hide it. So, going back to Labyrinth for a second, there were not a lot of good Lord of the Rings-esque D&D type fantasy movies when I was growing up. You know, we had like Conan the Barbarian, we had Masters of the Universe, we had Labyrinth, we had Willow, Legend, and a handful of like maybe $7 or $8 all together that were varying degrees of quality from good enough or man, this'll do. You know what I mean? None of it was classified as spectacular or legit amazing until the New Line Cinema Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy. That was the first that 2001 Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring by New Line Cinema was the first time in human history there was a legit like quality fantasy movie. Other stuff came after, but that was where it began. Everything before that was sock puppets or Muppets or dumbasses in rubber suits and a lot of bullshit. That's not to say all of those movies were bad. Some of them were enjoyable in their own right, but none of them were like mind-blowing or spectacular like Lord of the Rings was. So that's my problem with Muppets. They look too reminiscent to cartoons for me. Their, I don't want to say animation style, but their aesthetic, their design reminds me of something out of a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. I'm not a fan. It's not for me. Stay cool.